I don't think aliens should be taller than people. You know, I like the idea that they're like children, it's easy for kids to relate to because it's one of them. E.T. came into Elliot's life, and after you get to know them, after they start to bond with each other, they're kind of inseparable. They're both like children who both have needs. Elliot has a need that E.T. can fulfill, and E.T. has a need that Elliot can help him with to get home. And Elliot also needs to get home. So it's kind of these two very similar stories on the same path. Elliot doesn't have a father. His father has divorced his mother and is off in Mexico with Sally. And he's a lost child. He's going to fall off the face of the earth if he's not rescued. This is a rescue movie. I always thought E.T. was a movie about a double rescue. E.T. saves Elliot, Elliot saves E.T.
E.T. was released 28 years ago, and today is considered a classic for many reasons. But before we go in depth to those reasons, we should probably talk about the man himself, Steven Spielberg, and what he meant to me growing up. Growing up, Steven Spielberg was always my favorite director. He was one of the first filmmakers who made me want to take a deeper look at who was behind the camera. I watched Raiders of the Lost Ark for the first time in first grade, then I watched it again, and then again, and then again. And 50 more watches later, I drove everyone in my house crazy, but I still loved the movie. In second grade, I watched Jurassic Park, and loved it too. I think it helped that I always kind of had a thing for dinosaurs, and Jurassic Park kind of fueled that even more. The next summer, I was browsing the TV guide and saw E.T. on there and decided to record it, because I always had heard good things about it, plus, as I said, I loved Spielberg. After I got home from a basketball camp, I decided to sit down and watch it. And I really enjoyed it. Not as much as the indie films or Jurassic Park, but I liked it. Fast forward to now, years later, and now a much more cynical and older kid, going into a junior year of high school in the hellhole that is 2020. A year full of uncertainty, a pandemic, protests, and even more uncertainty. I am browsing Netflix and see E.T. I just felt the itch to rewatch it. I don't really know why, because it was never one of my favorites, but I decided to watch it again. I sit down on my couch and press play, and let me just say, wow. E.T. could possibly be Spielberg's best work to date. From the opening scene to the end credits, it is just amazing. Well, now that the intro is done, I'm going to let you all know all the reasons why E.T. is so spectacular, and why critics like Roger Ebert called it magical, because E.T. is just that. It's magical. E.T. is a film about learning to dream again. E.T. is about a double rescue mission, about Elliot rescuing E.T. and helping him get home, and E.T. rescuing Elliot from the darkness and uncertainty of his world. It's about letting go of the fear in your own world and exchanging it for a sense of youthful awe and wonder. I'll start with E.T. himself. I know this might seem like an obvious point, but I'll state it anyway. Everything here on Earth is new to E.T. Initially, when he comes to Earth, he is freaked out, because for all he knows, he is trapped here and there is no way home. After being stranded, E.T. wanders into Elliot's backyard and naturally doesn't come out and show his face at first, because Elliot brings more people outside, some of which happen to be carrying knives. But Elliot decides to wait outside later and see if he can catch a glimpse at E.T. Eventually, they end up coming face to face, and they both freak out. But even though Elliot is scared, he goes back the next night to confront E.T. again. And E.T. makes the decision to confront Elliot also. Both of them letting go of their fear for something new and wondrous. Once this happens, Elliot decides to show E.T. his house, allowing us to get a glimpse at the world through fresh, new, untainted eyes. Whether it's Reese's Pieces, TV, a wig with a dress, or even beer, things that we wouldn't even think twice about, E.T. reacts to these the same way we would react if we saw a UFO on his planet, which is something that E.T. himself wouldn't even think twice about, because to him it's normal. Speaking of which, the awe and wonder in the kids' eyes when each of them meet E.T. is something special. Yes, they're all scared of him at first because, well, aliens are normally thought to be something scary and unknown. I mean, imagine watching Alien or Aliens seeing the xenomorph plow through everyone, and then suddenly you find one living in your backyard. I don't think you'd be buddies with them off the bat and just allow them into your house. And Elliot's initial reaction is based off that fear. But as him and E.T. get used to each other and get to know one another, it allows them to let go of their fear for something unknown and wondrous. The same when Michael sees him. He thinks Elliot is just making something up, and that E.T. is just a figment of his imagination. If you remember, Michael is one of the boys that ran at the beginning with a knife to confront E.T. Or when Gertie sees him, she just screams, but as the story progresses, she decides to dress him up and put a wig on him because she doesn't know any better because she's just a little kid. She's just seeing E.T. as a person, opposed to an alien from outer space. And as the film goes along, E.T. allows them to let go of their fear and expand their imagination. And there are plenty of individual moments that demonstrate this idea, such as the Halloween scene, as E.T. gets a chance to do something new for him that would be normal for us. Or the scene when E.T. decides to heal Elliot's wound with his magic finger, and Elliot's very scared about it at first, but then just lets go of that fear and allows E.T. to work his magic, something normal to E.T. but not to Elliot. However, the scene that demonstrates this idea the most is, yes, you guessed it, the iconic bike scene. This is one of the best movie scenes of all time for a reason. As E.T. starts to raise the bike off the ground, Elliot naturally gets very scared, but swallows that fear for the sense of wonder. I mean, imagine that for a second. You were actually flying. Yes, it would be scary at first, because you're really high off the ground, but like, you're flying. John Williams' score here helps convey this really well too, elevating the scene that much more. You could say the same for the second floating bike scene too. Everyone except for Elliot are scared initially because, well, Elliot's already gone through this. But as it goes on and they continue to fly, they realize they are actually flying and it's not just their imagination, it is reality. Something that you could only dream about when you're younger becoming real. And the older side of you wants to be scared because of the height, but the inner child in you realizes that you're actually flying and how cool that is. The only thing that puts a damper on all this imagination and letting go of the fear for that imagination is the government. Now, I'm not normally one for symbolism. I mean, when my English teacher pulls symbolism out of nowhere, I think it's really annoying. But with that being said, the government represents trying to pull us back to reality. And they attempt to rationalize E.T. and bring him down to our level. By Spielberg bringing in the government allows us to see that in real life, if this happened, it wouldn't be all sunshine and rainbows and wonder and imagination. People would attempt to knock the fun of this back down a peg, and for a moment, the government wins. E.T. dies, allowing that sense of wonder and awe to go away, and Elliot, Michael, and Gertie are forced to deal with his death, and bring them back to their harsh reality. A reality where Elliot is lonely, a reality where their parents are divorced, a reality devoid of wonder. But in the end, E.T. lives as the flowers sprout back to life, allowing for imagination to pull them out of the suckiness of reality. Then you get to the end of the film, after the second bike scene, E.T.'s home receives his call and they come back for him. But as he leaves, the kids are forced to let go of that sense of awe and wonder. But this time, no government is prying their imagination away from them. They're doing it all on their own, knowingly letting go of E.T. And naturally, they're sad about it, but once E.T. has left, each and every one of them is ready to take on the world and comes to grips with their reality. And whenever they feel like the darkness is getting the better of them, they can remember back to that time when a little alien from outer space allowed them to let go of their fear and dream again. Hi guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. It took a while to make, and it was just fun talking about a movie that really impacted me in a certain way. And next week I want to make a video like this kind of thing on Shawshank. Don't quote me on that, because like I said, these take a while to make. But I hope you guys did enjoy it, and if you want to subscribe down there, you can do that. If you don't, that's cool too, I guess. So yeah, I guess I'll see you guys next video.